To follow along with this tutorial, you need a copy of Unity, so we'll start by downloading that. You just go to unity.com, which I'll have linked in the description, hit download here, and download for whatever platform you want, in this case, Windows. This will download the Unity hub for you. I already have it, so we'll just exit out of this, and once you finish installing it, it'll look something like this. So, except you'll have no projects here. So you'll hit installs, install editor, and then you can just install whatever version here is recommended. So you would hit install, and then you'll want to choose either Visual Studio or you can install whatever code editor you want. I recommend Visual Studio Code, and you can look that up and install that yourself. I won't show you how to do it here. You select whatever build things you want. If you're just doing Windows, then you can uh, leave this one checked. That's probably the only one you'll need. The other ones are just optional for you. Then you'll go to create a new project. So you'll hit new project and choose the editor that you just installed. So we'll go Unity 6 here. And then you'll wait for the templates to load. And here we'll use I'll use the universal pipeline because it's the fastest one. So we'll choose a 3D project with the universal pipeline. But if you want better graphics and some more special visual effects, you can use the high definition pipeline here. So I'll choose the universal one, and then I'll name my project Demo 2. And then we'll hit Create Project. And this will start creating your project, which might take a bit, so I'll skip ahead of that for you. Alright, so this is the main interface of our editor that we're welcomed with after our project starts up. And on here in the bottom, you have two little tabs. This one's your console, so this is where any errors will pop up. And then the second one here is project, which is basically like your file explorer for all of the files that are in your project. On the right is your inspector here, which will show additional information about whatever you click on. So here, if I click on the camera, it'll give me some additional information about it. On the left is your hierarchy, so all of the objects, everything that's in your scenes, like this little sunlight here, this volume, and this camera here are all in this hierarchy. At the top here, you have all of your navigation menus, buttons, and other things. So this button is the most important. So this one toggles you between edit mode, the mode we're in right now, and play mode, where you actually run your game. And this pause button just pauses the game at any time. So to start, we'll add our player to this scene that we're in. And for now, we'll just use a default cylinder and we'll name it player. Just wait for it to load. So yeah, here we'll name it player. So this new player is a new game object that we've created. And we've created it from a template, the cylinder, which is the prefab. And you can create an infinite number of these cylinders from this cylinder prefab, and these game objects will make up everything in our game, right? So this camera is a game object, this light's a game object, the rendering effects are attached to a game object, and our player is a game object. So you can, and then we'll add a rigid body component to our player to allow it to interact with the physics system. And here we'll just give it a mass of 50 because why not? And you'll see that this is a new component that we've added. This is what all of these are. These are components. So you can stack an infinite number of these components onto these game objects to make really complex objects. So here, like this is a renderer to help us see our object, a collider to have it collide with other objects, and our physics. And for the purposes of this demonstration, we'll create a first-person game. So I'm going to move the camera into the player just using our move tool here. So we just move the camera into the player like so, roughly. Just do it by eye. All right, that looks about right. And then we'll make it a child of the player by dragging it into it. And this means that any movement the player makes, so now I've selected the player. Now if I move the player, the camera will move with it. And finally, we'll just add a floor for our player by going create new 3D object, hit plane, and we'll move our player above it. And then we can just grow this however much we want. And then just to give us another physics object to interact with, we can also just add a sample cube here and give it the same physics component that we gave the other one. So now we're ready to start building our first game mechanics, moving and looking around. So to do this, we'll need to write some code. So this is a little explainer on how we'll interact with certain stuff from Unity in the code segment. So you saw these rigid body and transform components on our objects when we were in the engine, and these are essentially APIs that we can use to interact with them through the code. So you'll see there's plenty of properties here that we can edit, like the center of mass of the object. And for the transform, there's stuff like its position, rotation, and other things. Then we do use vectors a bit in the following part, which can be a bit difficult to understand depending on how far you've gone in math. But essentially, a vector is just two sets of coordinates, at least when it's represented in code. So you could use this to represent, for example, two coordinates to which represent a location on a screen, right? X and Y. Or you could use it to represent a direction or how far you want to move something. So vector 2 is 2D and vector 3 is 3D. So whenever we're interacting with our game world, we'll use vector 3 because our world is 3D. But whenever we're interacting with the screen or something that's 2D, like inputs, we'll use the vector 2. And finally, if you have like any other things that you don't know what they are, you can look in the description. I'll have a link to the script reference, and you can look up anything in this search bar here, and you'll be able to find it. So for example, I guess quaternions, we just use the quaternion.euler. So quaternions are a really fancy way of representing representing rotation in kind of a four-dimensional way, which avoids some of the problems with only representing it in 3. But you don't need to know any of the math behind it. We just use the 3 coordinate system because we don't require anything more than that. Alright, so I've opened this up in my code editor of choice, Visual Studio Code, and I'm just going to create a scripts folder under the assets folder, which will hold all of our code. And I'll create a new script in there called playermovement.cs, and I'll just start creating a new script using this. I'll explain this a little later, it'll make more sense later. So we'll start by defining a few fields which will hold things that we need. So for example, the controls for our moving and looking. And then maybe our move speed. And our look speed. So when I use the serialized field attribute, it means that it is that you can edit it in the Unity inspector, which is that little tab you had on the right hand side. And then we'll also take our player's rigid body, which will allow us to use the physics system in our movement. So then we'll do void start, so this will run once when our object is first loaded in. And here we'll just get the move and look actions. So next we'll define our fixed update method, which runs on every physics update. So every time that the physics system is updated, this will be called. So we'll start by getting our move direction from our move control. Next, we'll translate this into a real world 3D vector by using the transform.forward and transform.right properties. So what transform.forward means is like the direction, what is forward for the player. So if the player is looking straight, this forward means forward for them, and right is right for them, not necessarily right in the world. Then we'll adjust this move vector for time.fixed delta time times move speed. So this fixed delta time helps us account for the frame rate of the player. So if the player is on a worse computer, this might run at a slower speed, or if they're on a better computer, it will run faster. So this helps us standardize movement so that it's based on time and not how fast our computer is. And we'll multiply by our move speed so that we can control how fast the player moves by just setting a variable. And then we'll move the player using their rigid body. So move position. We'll use their existing position plus our move vector. So this just takes into account the physics. So if there's something in the way, it'll stop us before there. Next, we'll do our looking around. So this is if you move your mouse, you'll be able to look around. So for this we'll need an additional thing, which is our camera transform. So this is the position of the camera in space. And we'll define a pitch variable, which we'll set to 0, which is going to be the up and down rotation of the camera. So we'll do the camera rotation in the update method because we aren't interacting with the physics system. So we'll start in the same way as we did the movement by getting our look direction by reading from look.read value as in the same way as a vector. Then we will adjust it for our frame rate by multiplying by time.delta time and multiplying by our look speed. Then we'll change our pitch variable by the vertical component of this look direction. So lookdir.y. So we're doing minus here, so if we look up, we want our pitch to go up. Or, sorry, other way around. And then we'll clamp our pitch between straight up and straight down. Sorry, other way around. And then we'll set the rotation of our camera to this pitch. And then we'll rotate our actual player by this lookdir.x, which is our horizontal. So, and then finally, we just need to import the things that we've used from Unity. So we'll use using Unity Engine and using Unity Engine.input system, which will let us use things like the rigid body and all of those things to make sure that they actually compile. So then we'll hit save and we'll go back to our editor. So now we're back in the editor after our script is compiled. So we'll add it to our player here by doing add component, player movement, and then we'll hit our move speed, and look speed can just be 5. And we'll bring in our rigid body from our player component here, drag it in here. And then we'll add our camera as well to this field. And then we can hit save and hit play to test out our changes. And here we'll notice 3 bugs: that my cursor can move around on the screen, so I can drag it all the way off screen, which isn't ideal. I fall over, and that I can't look side to side. So now we have to find and fix these 3 bugs back in our code. So we'll start with the cursor one because it's the easiest. We just set cursor.lockState to cursor_lock_mode.locked. And what this will do is lock our cursor to the center of the screen so that it doesn't move off screen when we're trying to look around. Next, we'll fix the tipping over. So by just freezing the rotation from our rigid body, from the physics part, unless we explicitly rotate our player, it won't fall over or anything because of physics. And then here we're trying to rotate our player side to side, but then the next frame we immediately overwrite that rotation. So that's what's causing that little snapping that you're seeing. So here we'll set this back to transform instead of camera transform, and which refers to our local player instead of the camera. And now if we go back to the editor and wait for it to recompile our changes, you'll see that when we hit play again, those 3 bugs will have been fixed. So now we'll see that you're back in, and now you'll see that we can move around freely, and we can interact with this cube by pushing it around since it's also a physics object. And now let's see how you would edit variables. So if I press escape, this will unlock my cursor. That's just in the editor. Your players can't do that in the real game. And then we can change, let's just say, our movement speed here. We'll double it. And that will make us move much faster. So you see we can push the cube more. But notice that when I exit play mode, all of the changes that I made in play mode will be undone. So this move speed is back to 10. So if you want to test, make sure you save your values before you exit play mode. So I can restore right here. I can hit 10 again, and that will actually save it. So that's been the first tutorial. You can now go find the second one if you want to learn some more about how we'll do multiplayer into our game.